I'm Barry Trammell, and Sunday night in New Jersey, we saw a classic matchup of brothers. Guess what? Saturday night in Tallahassee, we'll see the same.
Great fun. The Ryans and now the Stoopses. From the Opopco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenna Carlson. Press Row is brought to you by Cox High-Speed Internet.
It's a pop quiz from Cox. Your kids have the gadgets, but what do they really need to shoot to the top of the class? This great deal on Cox blazing fast high-speed internet. Get it today at the Cool in School sale from Cox.
Barry, that was great fun watching the Ryan brothers go at it. Obviously, Oklahoma guys themselves. And now we get the Stoopses on Saturday. I get the feeling like the Ryans had more fun going against each other than the Stoops brothers will.
The Ryans sort of embraced the moment. I mean, they seem like guys that, give them half a chance and they'll go out in the parking lot and wrestle around with each other. The Stoops, they've done their share of wrestling back in the house in Youngstown, but those days are in the past. Bob Stoops talking last week about how difficult it is to play against his brother. Of course, his Sooners that he head coaches routed the Seminoles of defensive coordinator Mark Stoops last September in Norman, 47-17. Really took apart the Florida State defense. Bob looked like someone had run over his dog after that game. He really wants no part of competing against his brother. He'd like to get away from this. Could be still coming at him in the form of conference realignment if Oklahoma goes to the Pac-12. Arizona Wildcats head coach Mike Stoops have a Stoops versus Stoops game again. But this is nothing that he seems like he's the least bit interested in.
No doubt about it. And, that big deficit last year obviously really hurt Bob Stoops. I think part of it is the fact that Mark Stoops, his younger brother, the defensive coordinator at Florida State, is the youngest of the Stoops brothers. And, I think while the older brothers in the family, all very close in age, Mark's a little bit younger, 5 years younger than the rest of the three of them, at least, if not more. I think he was sort of their tackling dummy in some ways. They're boxing, their punching bag a little bit when they're growing up. But now they are very protective, I think, of that younger brother. It's like they can beat him up, but nobody else can. Well, Bob Sooners beat him up last year. I don't think that this will be the route that it was a year ago for the Sooners, but Barry, this was nothing like I heard Rex Ryan do a radio interview before the game last night. He's talking about the two of them calling each other, giving each other a hard time. I don't think that's happening between Bob and Mark Stoops.
No, it's not. And what you said is right. The Ryan brothers sort of embraced the moment and had fun with it last night. Now, I'm not saying Rob Ryan enjoyed losing. I thought he was going to blow the top of his head off when that ball game ended last night in the Meadowlands. But it's just it's a difference of style. It's a difference of emotions. The Stoopses are as competitive as anybody, and more so than most. And yet, Bob says it's just a gut wrench to play against his brother. He doesn't even like to watch his brother's games. He told me he wasn't watching the Oklahoma State-Arizona game. He said if he got word that the Wildcats were up big late, he'd watch. But otherwise, he doesn't like to watch his brothers in a game. So just an emotional turmoil when the Stoopses get together. So just a study in contrast. It was great theater in the Jet Dallas Cowboy game. I don't think the brother side of things are going to be a great theater down at Tallahassee. In fact, I think it's going to be uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, and I think part of it is too the stage you're looking at. Obviously in the NFL, the games matter a ton. Millions of dollars on the line and playoffs and all those sorts of things. But in college football, it's one loss and your chance at a national championship could go down the tubes. Obviously, this is a top 5 matchup between two top 5 teams. And so there's a possibility that regardless of what happens on Saturday, the losing team could still get back into that national championship race. But it's definitely going to be hard for either team to do that. Whereas in the NFL, obviously, I'm sure the Ryans, as Barry said, wouldn't mind going out in the parking lot and having a fist fight to see who wins that after the game on Sunday night. But they know that they've got games remaining. They can both make the playoffs regardless of what happens in that game. I think that's maybe where it's a little bit different between the two. But yeah, I don't get a feeling like this is going to be a fun storyline on Saturday in Tallahassee. I wouldn't be surprised to see both sides play it down as much as possible. Hey, stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.